Guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, welcome. My name is Lean Atwine. I run the blog 4C Mami, which is about all things natural hair. So in today's video, I am following up with what we talked about in the last video, which was about my experience going through the big chop and dealing with everyone's opinions and all that. So I'm doing this series for those people who are just starting out with natural hair. I'm coming at you with information, both experience and research work that will just help you to make the best decision if you are thinking about going natural, or if you are newly natural, this is for you. Or if you have, shorter hair, come through, let us learn from each other. Yeah, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so as you feel led, and let us get into it. Okay, so today we're going to talk mainly about the decision, when you're deciding to go natural. Like if you have decided, okay, I'm going to go natural, there are two specific things that you can do with your hair as it is in its natural state, and that is either the big chop, or you can choose to transition. It's up to you. So I'm going to talk about those two in broad perspective, and then later we can talk more about the big chop, styles that we can do with a big chop, etc., and then also transitioning and how we can deal with transitioning in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to start with, so the big chop is basically where you have, yes, you've been either relaxed, or you have heat damage from using hot tools all the time, and you just need to cut your hair off and have a fresh start. So with a big chop, it's basically you just go and wash your hair. I have seen natural hair bloggers who do it themselves at home, but I wouldn't trust myself with a pair of clippers any day. That's the one place where I'll be like, guys, please go to a professional, go to a barber you trust, go to, I don't know, your boo's barber, and have them do, the big chop on you, because it might become a mess. So the two things that I would emphasize for big chopping is if you're going to like just have your hair start from scratch, you just need two things, and that is patience and nutrition. Those are the two things that your hair needs at that point. But anyway, before I try to convince you out of it, let me give you some of the pros to big chopping versus transitioning. Number one, yeah, you get to experiment with your hair. I talked about it in my last video. Okay, my experimentation, most of it did not work out the way I wanted it to, but yeah, you get to experiment on your hair because it's really short. You can easily cut it out if you do not want what has happened in your head. I love the way footballers play with their hair and stuff like that. Like, yes, dye one half of your head, please. Who is stopping you? Okay, if you have a job where you shouldn't do that, or like school or stuff like that, like don't say 4C Mami told you and what, it's not me. But if you want to experiment, say you've seen someone with platinum blonde hair, why not try the platinum blonde look? You can try different cuts. If you want to cut the hair this side, if you want to try this look, if you want to roll it here, roll it there. The second advantage, there is less hair to deal with, because this, let me tell you, by the time I wash from the root to the tip, it has been 3 days. So take advantage of the fact that your hair is short. Your hair takes you that's literally the one time a 4C head of hair can go and do a wash and go. Literally, when I had the big chop done, I used to wash my hair in the morning and leave, like just wash, rinse, get out of there. And I did not have to go through so many motions or have a particular wash day set aside and etc. All those things came up later. But in enjoying my short hair, and I actually enjoyed it for quite a while. You know, it was actually better to have the flexibility to just do things real quick. Even moisturizing, you're just going to put over. And that takes me to the third advantage, which is it is time saving. Long hair and whatnot, after some time, yes, you can figure out how to shift your time around so that it does not take up a majority of your time or your space, but it is time consuming if we are to put it that way, or if we are to deal with it the way you would deal with short hair. Short hair, on the other hand, as I have mentioned, wash day is 5 minutes, moisturizing process is 3 seconds. So, you know, it's all good in the hood. You can enjoy and move on like really quickly, and it's not like a big deal or a big part of your day. The next advantage I'd say is you have a whole new look. You know, when people are used to seeing you with long hair, with what kind of hair, when you show up with chopped hair, like there's a point where it's kind of like a shock factor, you know. So if you're that type of person who likes to give people a little shake, you know, no one should calculate you, you are unpredictable, then come through, show out with your natural hair when it's just buzzed off, you know, and people will be like, oh my god, this is different, and then you add on, and then you have it colored, and people are like, Panongi, that cheek, what? I would be amiss if I did not talk about the disadvantages that come with the big chop. I kind of touched on them in my last video because people had words, people had opinions. So when you're doing a big chop, you better do it with your chest, you better do it with your all, because guys are going to come at you and be like, why, what was the reason, as if they're your mother, that you have to explain yourself to them, but you don't. So that's the first disadvantage. People will have opinions, some may like it, some may not, but who cares, it's your hair. That's on that. The next kind of disadvantage, I don't know if it's a disadvantage or not. Some may see it as an advantage, but it might be a disadvantage for many. You might look like a high schooler, especially if it's like really cut short. You know, there's that thing where they're like, are you 16 or are you 25? Like, what is what? But I mean, is it that bad really? The last con that I would say, the last disadvantage I would say is, my god, I don't know if I should make one particular whole story time for this baba. Let me just tell you here. Now, when I had my short hair, when I was like newly big chopped, I would cut the sides of my hair, and this one time I was just like, yo, I want that tiny line, that sleek line. Man's made a valley. The audacity. Let's move on. I'm just saying, be cautious of the barber that you let touch your hair. Make sure it's someone who is in tip-top shape, okay? So that is about the big chop. If you're deciding or if you're choosing and you want to know, should I do the big chop, then those are your options. Later on, I'm going to be talking about styles. I'm going to give you guys really nice styles for big chopping as it is growing, like through that awkward phase, because you know there's always that awkward phase when we are growing our natural hair, from when it's really short to when it can hold a puff. That phase, I'm going to deal with those hairstyles in another video, so you might consider subscribing so that you can be notified when that happens. Anyway, let's move on to the next part, which is talking about transitioning. I'm talking about transitioning your hair, whereby you still have relaxed hair but you're letting it grow out. In this way, like, you know how when you haven't retouched for a while, they'll be like, oh, I have growth. Growth is basically your natural hair growing back. So this kind of method is more preferred by people who want to retain length. They do not want to go with the look of the big chop. Maybe they know the head shape, how it is underneath, and they're like, I will save you guys. And it also has advantages and disadvantages of its own. But before I go into the pros and cons of transitioning, I'm going to give you a word of caution, which is to be extra gentle with transitioning hair. Now, I say this because transitioning hair has one, like, it's hair with two completely different textures. One side is straight, another side is curly or coily depending on your hair type. So, that kind of battle, you cannot deal with them the same way that you deal with straight hair, or you cannot deal with it the same exact way that you deal with natural hair. However, what I know is the way you deal with natural hair is a lot gentler, so straighter hair can endure. And I mean, it might be a bit of a shift because you are used to, let's say, combing your relaxed hair, or dealing with it in a particular way. But when you're transitioning, that's when you are fully just being straight up thrown into the world of natural hair and dealing with your hair in a natural way, which is completely different from how relaxed hair or consistently blow dried and hot combed heat damaged hair is treated. So that is on that. There's that particular line, they call it the line of demarcation, where the natural hair meets the relaxed hair. That line is really, really susceptible to breakage. It's where there's so much stress that can come up because of the way you deal with your hair. So if you still want to retain length for a while, be careful to be gentle, especially. I have talked about it already. You are retaining so much length, okay? So your hair, let's say it was relaxed, it was shoulder length, you still have your shoulder length hair, honey. Like, of course, the coily or curly hair is going to be as it is, coily or curly. It's going to be short, it's going to be whatever, but it will still look like you have your long hair, and you can, kind of continue like that until you fully assimilate and then be like, okay, let's cut the rest of this hair off. Usually people wait until it's a sizable length, or until they have skipped that awkward length stage that I talked about with the big chop, and then they cut off the rest of the hair so that they can continue moving on with their, living their best lives. But others can choose to do it less. I know someone who transitioned until her hair was in a puff, and I was like, girl. But in case you do not want to deal with the jarring look of two completely different textures, you can choose to do a protective style. There are people who do protective style after protective style. I've said this many times, and I'll say this again. Just make sure that you are the styles that you have are gentle on your scalp, because a lot of breakage comes from that stress of really tight hairstyles, and that's not good for you. But you can go through protective styles that can encourage the hair to grow, maybe thinking crochet styles, maybe we're looking at braids, or stuff like that. Wigs also, that can also be a thing. You can plop on a wig and look like your best self, but while you have your natural hair growing, and you can take care of it as well. You learn about natural hair right off the bat, because when it comes to transitioning, what I have realized, and as I experienced it when I was transitioning, as well as my friends who have transitioned and were telling me about their stories, or were going on the journey with me. P.S. My DMs are open. We can discuss anything about your natural hair journey. So just hit me up at Atwine, and I'll get back to you whenever I can. So my friends would get natural hair products, and which would be, I feel like, the best thing to do, because as long as you have your good deep conditioner and your LOC kind of moisturizing system and stuff like that, then you can start getting going and deal with your hair as you would deal with natural hair. I remember I bought my first flexi rod set when I was transitioning, and I haven't used it since because it's so big. Let me show you these. I bought flexi rods and I was like, let me see how to do this thing, because I saw a tutorial on the internet, as we are here congregated today. And I was like, okay, let me try them. And I tried them, and I hope I still have that picture. I think it came out really cute. You can learn about doing hairstyles for natural hair. You can start learning about how to deal with, twist outs. Okay, twist outs come out very weird on relaxed hair, or at least on mine. But, it's a learning curve, it's a learning process. I kind of was dealing with figuring out what hair products, could go with what or whatnot. But then I am going to make a full-on video about transitioning hair, so we can talk about the kinds of products that you would be better using when you're starting out in your journey. But then, it's kind of like a learning thing. You're like, okay, I hear that coconut oil is cool. Can I get that? Let me get argan oil. Let me get shea butter. Let me get this, that, and the other. It's a fun thing. It's a fun experience. Whereas when you have like a big chop, you're most likely not caring about that kind of stuff. Like if your hair is moisturized, like a little hair grease and water, what else? What else do people want from you? What else does your head want from you? But having longer hair might need a little bit more, intricacy, a little bit more complex stuff. So you can start to deal with it from there. Now, let's get into the cons. The number one thing, I think, the problem that you would find is impatience. Because if you're not patient with transitioning hair, man, you might big chop it before you need to, and then you have to deal with again the cons of having big chopped hair when you were intending on chopping, when it's a puff, all that stuff. So I'm just saying, it will take a while. Just relax. It's your pilot speaking. We are at cruising speeds, and yeah, we're going to be at our destination in about 17 hours. Like, settle in, watch a movie, do something else, call a friend, but don't like focus on, oh my god, is my hair growing? It will grow. The second disadvantage, I think, is the hair is confusing. I talked about it being two completely different hair types. It's also two completely different hair porosities. Relaxed hair is more high porosity than natural hair in most cases. Natural hair is different. There could be people who have coily or curly hair that is high porosity, but I would advise you to do the test to check if your hair is high or low porosity. But most times now, looking at relaxed hair, it's high porosity, it is straight. Natural hair is curly or coily, it is low porosity. It can be confusing to try and figure out all those different aspects and make them harmonize into one and make it look like a same person. Breaking can freak out a lot of people. Seeing your hair fall out is not a great experience to go through. But what I want to emphasize is to take heart, because most times if you are to notice the hair that has broken, most of it is usually relaxed hair. I think I have 2 or 3 people who have told me this experience before of how they were trying to transition, however their hair is just breaking out. And I asked them, what kind of hair is it? What hair? Is it the straight hair, or is it the full, strands of hair? And they're like, oh, it's mostly straight. So you see, at some point the battle ensues and is won by natural hair. So your relaxed hair is like, I'm a head out, So that's going to be on that. And I would advise that maybe at that level, at that point in time, you just consider chopping the rest of it off so that you can continue with natural hair. It's so tempting to retouch, because you know you have your relaxed hair, it's long, it's luscious, it's, you know, doing the thing, and you're just like, you know what, this hair is stressing me out. I don't know, I cannot comb it, it hurts when I comb it, it's dry, it's doing all these things, yada 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 yada. Why don't I just go and they retouch it? Again, it's your decision. However, please don't resist the urge, because I mean, there's a reason you started the journey in the first place. So it makes no sense, you know, going through this journey only to just backtrack. But again, it happens. I'm just saying, pretty please, please. But that is it for today. I have given you the options. You can choose between big chopping and transitioning. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you did when you were going natural, in case you went natural or you weren't natural all the way through. Leave a comment below. Subscribe if you haven't. Hello, we're always here. We're here having a good time. So just, you know, come and join us on the Fosi Mami team. Till next time we're going to talk more about big chopping and hairstyles for big chop. So I hope you have a great week. Stay safe. Also, I love you guys. Bye.